Hello everyone, it's Tommy here. Today's video is dedicated to show you how easy it can be to cover up the scar. Scar in general is quite easy to be covered. It's much easier than covering the tattoos. All you have to remember is, first, your scar needs to be fully healed. Best is if the scar is already a few years old. You shouldn't do cover-ups on the scars which still healing, which still pink, which are still a bit red. Because scars still changing the shape, you need to wait until it settles down. Scar usually have a shape, usually it's a long and narrow shape, so I will be showing you how you can create a clever project to use the shape of a scar and blend them in to the shape of a new tattoo. If you have any friends who have scars on the arms, on the legs, on the belly, please show them that video, tag them in, or send them the link. That may be helpful information for them. Feel free to use my ideas from this video. You can copy these ideas, use it for yourself. This is demonstration which I just want to share with you, so you can have a little bit of a positive information what to do in case of your own scars.
Okay, so in this little video, it's about 12 minutes long. I'm gonna try to break down the most popular cases of different scars. So I will focus on the C-section scars, self-harm scars, like small dog bites scars, accidental scars which have different shapes, and you will see the process of preparation, process of planning and solutions. So hopefully this will give you a good information what to do. The only things what literally is hard to explain is the keloid scars. That's the scars which can grow over the time. Every keloid is different and nobody will give you guarantee that the tattoo can cover it. Some keloids can be so aggressively growing that over the time they can outgrow the tattoo. So in this case, nobody will predict that. So if your keloids are small and shrinking, then usually it's easy to cover them up. If the keloids are still very active and they're growing, then I highly recommend not to do a tattoo. Nobody will give you guarantee that it will be successful. This is your own risk, so rather don't do it. But every normal scar should be quite easy job. Just wait until it's fully healed.
First example, we have the C-section scar. It's two different pictures and two different ways of sorting them out. The first one, we start drawing design in the very center of the scar. Obviously it will cover up the scar, but the problem of this type of approach, it look a bit obvious that there might be a cover of the scar underneath that centered design. My recommendation always is to start it small over the scar and with non-symmetrical shape bring it over to the hip. Work the line work with the body curves. This way is less suggesting that it might be the scar underneath the tattoo.
On this little animation, the red line represents the scar, and what we're doing, we're trying to make design as busy as possible. Like in this case, we're using lots of little flowers, and we're trying to use the gaps between the flowers to locate them around the scar, because contrast between the flowers, different shade of colors, little line work, it's a perfect way of covering the scar. As you can see, the design is growing from being smaller on one side to being bigger on the other side. But the contrast between little flowers, little swirls, little leaves, everything taking eye away from the scar, and more things going on, more composition busy, then easier it will cover the scar and less we will notice it.
Most of the self-harm scars happen in teenage years. When people visit me in the studio, scars are already around 10-15 years old. People want to get rid of them because they don't want them to be visible in such places like forearms, but also sometimes they happen on the shoulders or legs. Most of the scars, they have long and narrow shape. As you can see on the screen, they start fading over the time. They are not visible as a color, but visible as a raised skin. And this is the job now for any creative tattoo artist. As an artist, I need to look at the scars and start recognizing all the horizontal lines and all the vertical lines and start thinking what shapes in nature, in surrounding world can be used to cover them up correctly. So if you see
The bridge in that forest have a horizontal line. The ripples in the water have a horizontal line. They will be great to cover the lines which are horizontal. If we use any forest pictures of trees and branches and they go up vertically, they will be able to create vertical lines of the scars. The same reflection in the water, they can reflect the trees. So I can use those shapes to create the perfect balance of the black line work to hide any shape of a scar. It just needs a plan. On this next example, I'm moving from the forest theme into the seaside theme, and I'm gonna be trying to do the same steps. First, recognize the shapes of the scars and try to find matching shapes in my artistic design. I'm gonna be using the lines on the boat, the wooden panels, the ripples on the water, the shapes of the rocks, shapes of the lighthouse, the clouds in the background. They will be matching with the shapes of the scars. So the closer the black line work goes to a scar, the better it will be covered. We don't want to have a plain area of the shading on the scar. We want details. This is example only, so you can see how creative you can be or your tattoo artist to start seeing shapes behind the scars. And more preparations you do towards it, then better and more effective the cover-up will be. Not all scars are bad memories, and sometimes they're just example of some silly accidents. So you can see they come in different shapes, and we can do a fun designs by trying to incorporate those shapes into the designs, which will be looking more cool because they will feel three-dimension. In that example, Pikachu tail, you're gonna be able to feel it with that shape because the accidentally scar was like a zigzag. The bullet hole, the broken glass effect, you're gonna be able to feel a difference in that design, like you can feel it like it's 3D. Or a Frankenstein scar, you're gonna be located the way that we're gonna see like little rays or a little like a stitches effect on the scar. So this is just an example that you can be again creative, but not necessary for the reason of hiding them, but exposing them with the cool fun design. And again, a different example. Some scars can be the reason of a dog bites or any small scratches. And again, we're creating little flower designs where the center of the flower is gonna feel three-dimension. We're gonna be using the petals to follow up the shapes of the scars to make them feel three dimensions. Then more shading you do on the flower, then less visible the scar will be. And again, another example will be the what people shouldn't do. So you can see that heart, if it's gonna be shaded plain, that scar will be still standing out. So you have to create the details around the scar to make it disappear. Scars very often end up being highly reflective to sunlight, so in certain angles of daylight you still might be able to see little shapes and reflection. And this is a last example how we can do fun designs on the raised scars. So if the scar feels three-dimensional, we can think of what sort of the designs will be using 3D shapes. So we're gonna be able to fill the race on the design. As this example is showing, it could be like American style from the 1950s or 1940s pin-up girl, or maybe like a Hawaiian girl from this type old school sailor designs where you can feel the shape of a guitar, for example. Or maybe we're gonna use like a Mickey Mouse design and we wanna make the nose of the Mickey Mouse feel like it's raised. Or any insect, it can be a bumblebee, it can be a spider, or anything what we want to make feel like it's raised. We just show the creativity here. And now there will be some examples from real life. As you can see, there's a little bit of the time needed to be spent on planning. I need to find all the shapes and think of what they remind me to create extra detail work. If we're gonna be using any jungle theme with some wild tigers or lions or leopards, and we want to create lots of leaves and flowers around it, they will be very helpful to do a cover up. As I've mentioned before, you can see the scars are highly reflective. Then scars, even if tattoo is fully healed, scars still can reflect light slightly different, but obviously the more detail work going on, it will be less noticeable. On that one picture you can see all three stages of work: seeing the scar, recognizing the shapes and planning, and then healed result. Each cover-up is different and require different preparation. Sometimes people have their own ideas. Sometimes, as a creative tattoo artist, I'm here to help you to find the idea for your exact cover-up. The most difficult situations with the scars was in terms of the skin transplant scars or skin graft scars. It's really difficult to make the color stay in that place. Obviously it's possible, but it will stay different and you're gonna see a shade, the color difference on the scar like this. This is example of the C-section cover-up. My client wanted to do a flower designs with no black color on it. Everything was done with just colors, but the concept was still the same. Start design small in the center of the belly and gradually make it expand with the size towards the hip. That will look more natural and it will flow better with the curve of the body. We are getting close to the end of the video. This is another example when you can see a planning on the scars. You can see the basic outline work, which is incorporating shapes of the scars. Obviously, we're never gonna be able to hide every single scar with right shape, but the most is possible is important. So process of work takes time. You can see the layers being built on the skin in different time, different sessions. Some scars are small, will go just with one visit. Some scar can be big and will require lots of visits. Sometimes people show me the scars which are caused by a tattoo removal. So whenever it happened, usually those scars are quite small and easy to be covered. So in that case, you can still see a little bit of the shade of old tattoo, but doing a new work, new details, the prominent shadows, prominent textures will hide any scar and any faded tattoo. So the job like this is quite easy. It just requires right amount of the time. And again, we've got a small tattoo. It was removed and it feels a little bit like a scar. Very, very little one. So we're designing a pattern which follows the shape of all tattoo and changing into nice floral stem with leaves and flowers. That will be a very easy job. And obviously you just need to be ready to have a slightly bigger tattoo than it was before.